The bakery smelled like warm bread and frosting, the kind of smell that made strangers smile without thinking, yet Sarah felt none of it as she pushed open the glass door with her trembling hand. Her little daughter, Lily, clung to the hem of her coat, if she could still call it a coat, thin, torn, and barely shielding them from the bitter wind outside. Sarah's cheeks were red from the cold, but what weighed her down wasn't the weather, it was desperation. She couldn't remember the last time her child had eaten a real treat, something soft and sweet instead of the stale crackers she'd stretched for 2 days. She stepped inside not knowing whether she'd walk back out with food or shame. Behind the counter stood a young baker, cheerful, smiling at customers who chatted and laughed. His apron was dusted with flour and his hands moved with practiced confidence. He looked up when he saw Sarah approaching, and although his smile remained, she could read the slight confusion in his eyes, her clothes, her hair, her empty hands. People like her didn't usually walk into places like this. Sarah swallowed a knot of fear and leaned closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "Excuse me. I wanted to ask, do you have anything expired? Maybe something you can't sell anymore? A piece of cake that's going to be thrown away." Her voice cracked at the end. Lily tugged at her sleeve, eyes wide and hopeful. The baker hesitated. She could see it, the awkwardness, the uncertainty, the silent weighing of whether helping her would get him in trouble. Expired? Well, ma'am, we don't usually, please, she blurted, tears burning hot behind her eyes. Just something small. For my daughter. Anything. Her voice trembled so hard she nearly lost it, and she pulled Lily closer as if hiding her behind her own trembling body. She wasn't begging for herself. She would have starved quietly, unnoticed. But Lily was just a child. Before the baker could answer, Sarah felt a presence behind her. Heavy footsteps, slow and deliberate, like someone observing, judging, measuring her worth. She stiffened. Out of the corner of her eye, she noticed an older man in a dark suit, tall, stern-looking, his face unreadable. She instantly felt ashamed, like she was dirtying the beautiful bakery just by standing in it. She lowered her head and stepped slightly aside as if making herself smaller. The baker cleared his throat and finally said, "Let me check in the back." "Just wait a moment." She nodded quickly, grateful, though humiliation pricked at her skin. She hated being a burden. While the baker disappeared, the older man continued to stand near the shelves, hands clasped behind his back, eyes fixed on Sarah and Lily. She could feel his gaze like a weight. Lily pressed her face into Sarah's side. "Mommy, are we in trouble?" Sarah knelt, brushing her daughter's curls gently. "No, baby," she whispered. "Mommy's trying." Her voice shook, but she forced a smile. She always forced a smile. The baker returned holding a small box, plain cardboard, not fancy, and Sarah exhaled with relief. Her body slumped slightly, as if her bones had been holding up the sky and could finally rest. "We had one cake that didn't sell this morning," he said softly. "It's not expired, but it's a little smudged. If it's okay with you." Sarah didn't let him finish. "Thank you," she breathed, overwhelmed. "Thank you so much." Her eyes glistened, and Lily peered up with innocent excitement. "Is it chocolate, Mommy?" Sarah opened the box just enough to see a small swirl of frosting. It might as well have been a feast. She nodded, her smile breaking through tears. "Yes, baby. Chocolate." But before she could take the box, the older man's voice cut through the air, deep and commanding. "How much does it cost?" Sarah froze. The baker blinked in confusion. "Sir, well, I was just giving it to her." The man stepped forward, adjusting the cuff of his suit jacket with precise movements. His eyes, though stern, held something beneath, a flicker of emotion, a memory maybe, or something he didn't want anyone to notice. "No," he said firmly. "Nothing free." Sarah's heart dropped into her stomach, cold and heavy. She pulled the box slightly away, instinctively protective. Please, she whispered, panicked. I can't pay. I only asked for something that would be thrown away. The man looked straight into her eyes, and for a moment, Sarah saw something unexpected, not harshness, but gravity. The weight of someone who had seen suffering before. Exactly, he said. You asked for something worth nothing. Not food. Not dignity. Nothing. Why? Sarah flinched, humiliation flooding her face. Because I didn't want to take advantage. Because we're going through a hard time. I'm not asking for charity. She stood taller, even as her voice trembled. Just something to feed my daughter. The bakery fell silent. Even the baker held his breath. The older man then stepped closer, stopping only when he was a foot away. His voice lowered. There was a time, he said, when I stood exactly where you are. When my child was hungry. When the world felt colder than winter. Sarah blinked, startled. He continued, and someone looked at me the way you think I'm looking at you now. But they didn't help. And I promised myself that if I ever crawled out of that life, I would never let another parent beg for their child to eat. His voice cracked, just a fraction, but enough to reveal the truth beneath his stern face. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out his wallet. Pack her 2 fresh cakes, he told the baker. And a box of bread. Sir, Sarah protested. Please. I can't accept. You can, he interrupted gently, but firmly. Because this isn't charity. This is a father helping a mother. That's all. Lily stepped out from behind Sarah, looking up at the men with big curious eyes. Are you an angel? She asked innocently. The men blinked rapidly, swallowing emotion before it escaped. No, little one, he said softly. Just someone who remembers. When the baker handed Sarah the full package, more food than she'd held in weeks, she burst into tears. Not quiet ones. Deep, shaking sobs she'd been holding inside for far too long. The older man placed a hand on her shoulder, steadying her. Take care of your daughter, he said quietly. And when life gets better, and it will, help someone else. That is how the world heals. Sarah nodded, unable to speak. As she stepped out of the bakery, clutching Lily and the food to her chest, she glanced back. The men gave her a small, meaningful nod. And for the first time in months, Sarah felt hope, not borrowed, not imagined, but real. And if you felt this story touch your heart, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring more emotional, meaningful stories that remind the world that kindness still exists. Stay with us, because every story you watch could be the one that changes someone's life.